All right, 10-minute snack. Everyone knows the rules. Let's eat. All right, so I have Aaron Alexander with me today. Aaron, you probably don't need much of an introduction, but I'll do a brief one here. You are the owner of the brand Align Podcast, the Align Method, Align Community, and I'm excited to talk with you. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
So one of the things been looking forward to talking with you is mobility is something that I neglected, I would say, throughout my entire 20s. And then into my 30s, I started having some aches and pains because I've been more of like the gym rat. And so one of the benefits of the 2020 pandemic was I was like, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity for me to basically work on mobility, starting to move. And so one of the things I think handicapped me in the past that I decided to like change this time was, I'm going to dedicate a minimum of 5 minutes a day. I don't have to do more than that, but 5 minutes a day. And if I set that floor, I know I can stick to that. It's where if I tried to do like, look, I got to do 30 minutes a day or an hour a day, I know I'll just quit. So I stuck with this goal, at least 5 minutes a day. And over 2 years later, 2.5 years later, I've stuck with it. So my burning question to you was, all right, Aaron, if you had just 5 minutes a day to do mobility work, what exercises would you do?
Well, so the book that I did, the Align Method, and the courses and such that I create, and just the general lens that I have on movement and exercises and things of the sort, is more around how to integrate that 5 minutes that you might hypothetically, like this panacea, magical cure-all 5 minutes that you may do, into how do you titrate aspects of that 5 minutes into the rest of your day. So really, in truth, the 5 minutes of what you do, if that's backed up against a suboptimal lifestyle and suboptimal movement patterns throughout your day, and a lack of access to nature and natural sunlight, and having some level of balance with your circadian rhythm and relationships and purpose within your life, and things of the sort, that 5 minutes is just nonsense. It just doesn't matter. So I would reframe the question of like, how do I start to find this magical, mystical 5 minutes and extract the principles from that 5 minutes into the broader duration of the rest of my day. And some specific things that would be within my panacea 5 minutes would probably be like getting your hips down below the height of your knees, because that's something that's largely deficient in modern culture. So that in order to poop effectively, your hips will go below the height of your knees. The transition into sitting on a toilet literally puts your rectum in a disadvantageous mechanical position to actually defecate. So that's just an interesting example of how the modern mold of the way that we inhabit ourselves physically, the way that we exist in our couches and chairs and et cetera, it in some ways kind of goes against like some of the natural tuning mechanisms and the natural kind of like healing positions that our body it desires or to be taken through with regularity, because it's helpful with taking those joints to a full range of motion, circulating new healthy fluids into the totality of those joints, from various different angles, and then also preventing things like incontinence. People, the adult diaper industry is I believe it already has actually exceeded that of the baby diaper industry.
Heard that.
So like older folks, and younger folks are, peeing their pants because they lack control within the muscles around their pelvic floor. And so that's not just like oh, that's just a thing. That's just like a normal human thing. Like, no, that's absolutely preventable and absolutely a product of an evolutionary mismatch of the way that we move throughout our daily environment. So, a 5 minute thing, I'd say probably just like pop a squat. If you can't do anything else, it's a pop a squat. But I'd really say like pop a squat with regularity. So last bit, I wouldn't say 5 minutes. I would say, okay, if I have 5 minutes, can I break it up and
Mm.
do 30 seconds times 10? That would be dramatically more effective. So I would say, or 15 seconds times 20 or whatever that would be.
Hmm.
So then I'd be like, okay, now we're talking. So if you give me 15 seconds times 20 and I can layer that into my day, it's still 5 minutes.
Yep.
Now the body actually can really respond in a beneficial way. But if it's just 5 minutes and then a bunch of garbage the rest of the day, it really, you may as well just not even done the 5 minutes, in my
Yep.
opinion.
I gotcha. And one of the things, and it's something I talk a lot about, and it really has to do with, in my perspective, habit building, because a lot of this is habit building. And if I want someone to go do ideally 100 things differently, they're overwhelmed. They're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Where I'm like, if we can get the ball rolling in the right direction, maybe that 5 minutes, like you start to find some benefits, which brings you to do the 10 minutes, which brings on new, better habits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that was kind of what was at the heart of the question.
Well,
And
so to answer your question in actually like a pithy snippet that you'd probably want to use for social media or whatever, if I had 5 minutes, one, I would separate that 5 minutes down into 30 seconds times 10 throughout the day. So that I would cheat on the
right.
question and I would distribute that 5 minutes to the entirety of the day, because you want to keep your connective tissue and your lymphatic fluids and all the fluids of your body circulating with regularity throughout the whole day.
Yep.
So one single 5 minutes and then a bunch of garbage throughout the rest of the day is nonsense. At that point, like you're already losing. Like so
Yeah.
so so break the 5 minutes up, distribute it throughout the day. It's going to be the best thing you can possibly do for yourself. In that, I would say if you only have one position to take your body through that would be the most restorative thing for a person existing in modern culture, I would say get up and down off of the ground with regularity, go into a squat, take a kneel, do a toe sit, straddle position, 90-90 position, sukhasana, like crisscross applesauce position, lay in your belly, lay in your back, lay in your side. Go through that in some circulatory type fashion, just i.e., like I'm sitting on the floor right now as we're having this conversation. My legs are crossed, got like freaking balls and stuff that I'm not my own balls, but my like myofascial release balls that I'm, massaging my forearm with and whatnot. So I'm kind of keeping things going. So that would be my suggestion. If I only had 5 minutes, I'd break it up and it would be various iterations of spending time on the ground. That would be the most supportive thing a modern person could do for their bodies. And I would do that outside under natural sun, full spectrum, without sunglasses or a shirt.
Awesome. So one quick question about the squat, because I'm right there with you. A very important movement that most people can't do. So let's say we're dealing with an audience that's like, hey, that squat, my ankle mobility, I just can't do it. Uh, any tips for these folks to like kind of how do they ease in to start squatting better?
Yeah, so you just raise your heels. Just
Yeah.
like it's so easy. Like being reasonably healthy and feeling reasonably fine in the body and like alleviating one's self of just stiffness and rigidity and things of the sort. Like it's not very complex typically. Sometimes there are some complex scenarios, but oh my god, how do I squat? As I come down, I don't have the ankle range of motion or the muscle sequencing for it to happen, and my knees dump in, or I need to kind of dump forward on my knees, wherever the thing is. It's like just raise your heels up,
Yeah.
get yourself a pair of high heels, drop yourself down to the squat, get yourself on a what do they call it? What's the tilted box called? Slant board. Get
Hmm.
yourself a slant board, put your feet up on a couple books, and then you can slowly, that would be what I would suggest, is you get a slant board so that you can adjust the height, or you could literally just stack your heels up on books, ideally kind of like thinnish ones, so you can slowly start to reduce the height of said books or anything that you have that you can adjust the height of that, and work your way from as high as you need to be able to comfortably go through that squat, maintaining some level of like length through the spine. Length being like your starting position kind of sort of looks like your finished position at the bottom of the squat. It's okay to have the slight like butt waking, especially if you're not loading a bunch of weight. If you're loading a bunch of weight, then you probably don't want to be butt waking so much. That's when the pelvis curls under in that posterior tilted position. But if you're just squatting to hang out, like third world squat, like of course you're gonna butt wake. It's all good. And that would be my suggestion: is start off high with the heels, and then just slowly, every week or so, cut it down a little bit more.
Awesome. That's great. And so I know we just touched like barely the tip of the iceberg. Your website has all kinds of awesome resources. Like you mentioned, I know you got the book, you got courses, you got the podcast. We'll make sure we'll link all that below. And I just want to appreciate you for your time and look forward to, being in touch.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing it. Hopefully that was somewhat supportive for folks listening.
Snack time's over. Did you enjoy the snack? If so, drop me a comment. Let me know if we should dive deeper and do a full meal on this topic. Also, P.S. if you liked the snacks, you're going to love our bites. A daily email bite, a golden nugget, better than a pasture-raised egg yolk. All right, maybe not that good, but it is a daily bite to optimize your health and nutrition with a meat-based diet. Access right now is totally free. Link below. See you in the bites.